Hi guys, how's it going? So today our pep talk is going to be on how to destroy an art career. And it's easier than you think. It's pretty easy. You just have to do one thing that most people do. And what that is to stop learning. Now this doesn't apply just to art careers. This applies to pretty much any career choice you decide to go with, but especially art careers. And it's something that's super prevalent, and it's just kind of like the norm in our society. In our society, we have this idea that there's kind of like this separation in stages of life. There's like the learning stage of life, which you have mostly as a child when you go to school and high school and you graduate, and then there's the doing phase of life, or the working phase of life. And if you look at anybody who's very successful, artists and non-artists alike, none of them follow that mindset, because it's completely destructive to your success and your progress, okay? If you want to be successful and you want to live the life you want as an artist, you want to pursue that goal, you have to be a lifelong learner, right? You can't just go through school and say, okay, I finally graduated, or I got my degree in art, so now I finished the learning step, now I can start the working step, and then you never go back and learn anything else. You will fail if that happens to you, because here's what happens. Art and the technology we use to create it is constantly changing at an extremely rapid pace, okay? 10 years ago, there was barely any sort of digital painting, and now almost all production art is done digitally, right? Now, if the people 10 years ago who got their degree in illustration, there was no digital painting classes at a university. They get their degree. Those people who went to school, got their degree, became illustrators and concept artists, and then never adapted or learned anything new are out of jobs today, okay? These people, they don't exist in the industry anymore because they didn't adapt. And I mean, I'm not saying you can't still work traditionally. There's people like Ian McCaig who still do that, but even he is constantly learning. He draws every day. I believe he said that even after he made it into the industry, in one of his interviews, he talks about how even after he made it into the movie industry and he was doing concept art for movies and stuff, I think he said once a month maybe? I can't remember. I believe it was once a month, maybe once a year, he would go through and redraw every single image in Figure Drawing for All It's Worth by Andrew Loomis. And he said he'd probably done that about 20 times, okay? A master of his field, one of the best there is, and he has redrawn the same book 20 times over and over again. If you don't know what book that is, let me find it. I have it right here. I'll show you. Let's see. Here we go. So this book, Figure Drawing for All It's Worth by Andrew Loomis, it's pretty heavy, right? It's got a lot of pictures in here. And Ian McCaig went through and drew this 20 times. A master, okay? So what does that tell us? If we want to be good, we want to be the best, if we want to be successful, we can't stop learning. We have to keep going, right? With technology changing all the time, you have to stay on your feet. You have to keep growing, because if you don't, you're going to get into a job where new technology is emerging and new ideas and new styles and different things like that, and you're still painting like they did 10 years ago, that studio's not going to want you. They're going to let you go. But if you're on the very front line, right, you know you're learning all the new things right as they happen, and you're constantly improving, even though you already are in the industry, there will always be a demand for good work. Always. There will always be a demand for good work, right? People say a lot of times like, oh, well, if you become an artist, you're going to be a starving artist. You're not going to be successful. No. If you become a bad artist, you're going to be starving, right? If you become a lazy artist who doesn't work hard, yeah, you're going to be starving. But guess what? If you become a lazy anything, you're going to be starving, right? Art just takes a lot of work to master, right? It's a skill, okay? It's a technical skill that really takes a lot of effort. And so always learning is essential to that, okay? Does that mean that you should, if we're going to be learning for the rest of our lives, we just should not work because we're too busy learning? We have this kind of segregation of like the learning phase and the work phase of our life. And no, that's absurd. even as far as the learning phase where we have public schools, I think that you should be incorporating the work and learning together so it's the same thing, because you can learn while you work if you're really pushing yourself and making an effort to do that, instead of saying, we have this project come up, but I don't really know how to do that, so I'm not gonna do this project. Just let me know when you have one that like this comes along, and you have your parameters of what you're comfortable doing. Break that mold, right? If a project comes along that you're not 100% comfortable with, that you maybe don't have all the technical skills, take it anyways and learn the skills to do it as you go, right? Learning to the task instead of to the test is so much more efficient and beneficial for your learning process, right? If you're just learning something to kind of store it in your mental library, and so that, maybe like for example, when you're in school, you're learning math and you're just learning math so you could take this test and pass the test, but you're probably not ever going to use it later in life. And if you do use it later in life, you're not really going to remember a lot of it because you were learning to the test, right? But if you're learning to the task where you have something, you're like, okay, I need to paint this image, right? And I don't know how to paint water well, for example. If you learn how to paint water well, specifically for that task, then you're going to remember that so much more. You're going to absorb it and ingrain it because it's important to you. It's useful, right? But if you were to have a job where they're like, hey, we want you to paint water, and you told them, I'm actually not very good at water, so maybe I'm going to pass on this one, or maybe we could figure out a way to make there not be water in it. If that's the attitude you're taking, you're going to fail. You are going to fail. You have to be always getting better. Okay? Now, I don't want to say this to overwhelm you guys. I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. I'm never going to be good enough because I'm always going to have to be learning. That's not what I'm trying to tell you at all, right? There shouldn't be, sometimes we have this mindset of like, okay, well, when I'm good enough, then I'll start, right? Once I've learned enough, then I can start doing it, which is just as toxic, right? Start where you are right now, wherever you're at in your art experience, your art venture. You can always be getting better, right? But if you're constantly waiting until you are good enough, quote unquote, then you'll never be good enough. Because I'll tell you right now, even the most successful artists, some of my favorite artists like Bobby Chiu and Ian McKagan stuff, even still sometimes it's called imposter syndrome, where you just feel like, man, I'm not good enough. Like, look at all these people around me. They're so much better. I'm not good enough. And you probably will always feel like that. And if you wait for that feeling to go away, you're never going to start. You just have to start, right? And along the way, you'll get feedback. People will tell you what you need to do to work on it and get better. And being able to see your process, posting that online so people can see, okay, you know what, this is where I'm at, but I'm working. And having them documenting your progression of success to show, here's where I started, wasn't very good, but now, after working on it for a year or two, look how much progress I've made. People love that, and that shows a lot of hard work and diligence that's going to make people want to hire you. Another thing, sometimes we tend to, I see this a lot, right? When I teach these online courses, which I recommend you taking, like I was just talking about, you should always be learning, so this is a great way to keep doing that, and they're pretty cheap as well. So, especially with the sale I'm running this week. I'll talk more about that at the end. But I have a Facebook group for my students, for just my students, people who are taking my courses, where they can post their work and get feedback and stuff like that. And you can see this on plenty of forums online as well, where there's the people who always they're better than everyone else, right? They're already pretty good at what they do, and they're posting their artwork in these forums and on these pages, but they're not doing it to get feedback, right? They're not posting it and saying, hey, I know some things, but I know I could be better. I know there's things I don't know. Tell me what I need to do to fix this, right? Give me the hard critiques. Don't just tell me, it looks great. I want to know, what am I missing? What's not working, right? But they're not doing that. There's a lot of people who they know they're better than everyone else in that particular area. They're not maybe the best in the world, but in that group of beginners, they know that they're above everyone else. And they post their art in there so they can feel good about it, because they know everyone's going to come and comment and like and be like, wow, you're so amazing. Wow, why you don't even need this course. You're so great, right? And it makes them feel good, and it makes them feel like, I don't really need to get any better because look how great I am. Everyone loves what I'm doing. And yeah, I mean, you could do that. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But honestly, you're killing yourself. You're killing your own career through flattery because you're lulling yourself into the sense of complacency that, my work is good enough. Look at how many people like it. And they do that on purpose in these settings of beginners because it feels good, right? And I'm not judging these people or, saying they're stupid or anything. I'm just pointing out that it's not helping them. If you're one of the people who does this, and I know it can feel good, right? When I was in high school, I was a pretty good artist compared to most of the rest of the kids in my school, in my class. And it felt good, right? It felt good to be like, wow, I'm the best one. I really like this. And sometimes I would let that get to my head to the point where I felt like, I don't really need to be doing this fundamental stuff because look, I'm already really good. This stuff is kind of below me. And that hurts you a lot. It's poisonous. Don't let yourself think that, okay? Never let flattery lull you into a sense of security. You can always get better, okay? And if you want to be successful, you should always be trying to get better, right? So if you're someone who's doing that, right, you're just posting on these things because you're the best one and that people will comment, and you'll feel good about yourself. And this is completely different from posting stuff online, right? If you're posting this for your social media to try and gain a following, then yeah, you should be posting your best stuff to get people to be like that. But if you're posting it in a forum where you're trying to learn and get better and you're just doing it to get likes, you're not going to learn. You're not going to get any better, right? You should be asking for those hard critiques. And there's been times where people post stuff and this kind of goes along. I'll talk about this next week in another video about critique etiquette. But if you're posting something to get feedback and they give you feedback, you should be grateful and you should probably listen to them. Don't just get, sometimes people get frustrated or they take it personal and they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or, or they make excuses. That's another one. Oh, don't do that. If someone's critiquing your work, don't make excuses for why it looks the way it does. If someone says, hey, the head on that thing looks pretty big and it looks disproportionate, and you say, well, yeah, I know, but I did that on purpose because blah, 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 blah. Maybe you did, right? Maybe you are right and it looks better the way you did it. But if you're asking someone for a critique and then you make up an excuse for why what they're telling you is wrong, you're just basically saying a big F you to them. And, really bad critique etiquette. So don't do that. Anyways, so the number one takeaway from this is, if you want to destroy your art career, stop learning, right? Get to a point where you think you know what you need to know, and that's all you really need, and you'll be successful. If you want to be successful, though, and really make it, be a lifelong learner. Never stop learning. Continue to find new things, new ways to improve yourself, and I promise you, it'll be a better outcome than if you don't. So, anyways, that being said, I hope this is helpful for you guys. In case you couldn't tell, it's something I'm kind of passionate about. It drives me crazy when I meet people who just think that, they're done. That's it. They don't need to learn anymore. Like, oh, I already know that. It drives me crazy. Anyways, so along the lines of being a lifelong learner, I have, if you're wanting more than just what's on this YouTube channel, stuff that's more in depth, that really goes deeper, then definitely check out my Udemy courses. I have 3 of them up right now, and one of them is automatically free if you're a subscriber. So for anyone who's already a subscriber, or if you just click on that little tiny subscribe button this side, I'm not sure. If you click on that little subscribe button, then you could take this course for free. It's called How to Digitally Paint and Draw Eyes. And it's a mini course. It's an hour and a half long, but it goes into pretty good detail all about painting eyes. From humans to creatures, how to draw them, the structure of them. And it goes really in depth. And this one, completely free for anyone who's a subscriber, just because I really like art education. Oops, sorry, that was my phone. I really like art education, and I really like teaching people. So this one's completely free for my YouTube subscribers, and I encourage you to check it out. It's awesome. It's not going to cost you anything. You just have to make a Udemy account. The other 2, I have 2 more, and one of them is digital cell shading, so how to paint in a cell shading type style, and that one's about 2.5 hours long. Normally, it's $65, but until Saturday, it's going to be only $20. It's going to be on sale. So check that out. I'll put the links for these in the descriptions along with the coupon code so that you can get these, but it's only going to be till Saturday, right? And so I definitely recommend you take advantage of that. And then the other one is, which is my favorite one, is Ultimate Creature Design course. And this one is awesome, okay? It's 9.5 hours long, tons of lectures, lots of downloadable content, PDF files, my Photoshop files I use for it, and it goes super in depth on how to design creatures, all the way from understanding animal anatomy to doing studies of real life animals using reference, from understanding the brief that you would get from an art director, all the way to the design process, colors, all that stuff. Okay, it's awesome. Check that out. And that one is normally $100, but it's only going to be $24 until Saturday. So once again, check these out. Now, like I said, art education is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And the reason I run these sales is so that everyone has an opportunity to be able to buy them. And the reason I sell them anyways is because I need to make a living, right? And by selling them, it lets me know who actually cares, because if it was free, people would just take it whether it was important to them or not, right? Putting a price on it means that only the people who actually care are going to be taking it. However, I understand that sometimes people are in a difficult financial situation, because I myself have been there. And if you want to take this so bad, but just because of the situation you're in, you cannot pay for it, you simply do not have the money, then email me with the email that's in the description below, and we could work something out, right? I want to talk with you, and we can figure something out. However, know that when you do buy these courses, it directly goes to supporting me and my family, right? This is basically how I provide for myself. Between this and doing freelance work, this is what I do. So anyways, thanks for all of your guys' great support. It really means a lot to me, and especially the response I've gotten from coming back after this month or so hiatus where I was dealing with my wife and I. She had some medical issues that we had to deal with, has been amazing. You guys were super understanding, and I'm excited to get back into this and start providing you guys with awesome content. So anyways, thanks for all the support, and I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.